is LYON.
I'm excited for it. You know, I was hanging out, obviously doing the interview with Inspired and then Contractz, so you kind of chat with the coaches and players and stuff as you're standing over there. And Shopify was in a pretty good mood. You know, Demonte was saying, hey, scrims went really well this week. He's like, maybe didn't win them all, but we learned a lot, and he was feeling pretty good about
Loses
it.
improve.
Exactly. And Contractz was kind of on the same page when I was chatting with him. He was saying he was feeling really good, and things have been, you know, moving in the right direction with him and Zinie as a duo. So it's always good to hear from our teams. You want to have competitive games. You want to have exciting games. And a lot of the usual suspects are banned out. It is looking like it's just going to be Seraphine, Ashe. And the question is, do we get a more aggressive answer, or is it just Corki, Nami as a response? I feel like Lulu, Yunara, to me, has kind of gone down a tier. It's just the lanes are just not going well for that duo.
I'm just going to say, man, Yunara is butt in North America. Like, that champion, every time I see it locked, it's just lose. Like, I do not have any faith in a Yunara right now. The Seraphine Ashe locked in. We saw this yesterday, too, during the first series. The first pick jungler, or excuse me, it was the first pick Azir then into the Seraphine Ashe response. And it feels like if the first game of Fearless doesn't have one of these two banned out and you take a powerful solo laner or a powerful jungler first, the enemy team will immediately lock Seraphine Ashe, and it's just such a power response.
It is a really powerful response. I will say, if I am going to play into Seraphine Ashe, I want a good ganking jungler. And what did they get with their first pick? Pantheon. One of the best ganking junglers there are. So I do think that is a reasonable response. Corki Nami can win the 2v2 against Seraphine Ashe. I do think it's pretty skill-based. It's kind of, you know, up to, are you able to get these short, punchy trades and utilize your sustain as Nami? Or are you going to get caught in an extended trade where Ashe and Seraphine can kind of train you down, and you're really going to be in trouble in that situation? I do feel like Corki Nami plays this somewhat similar as they do against Yunara Lulu. You know, it's all about those level ones and stacking lethal tempo and being able to get an extended trade for the Ashe. So I think it's definitely winnable. They have a powerful ganking jungler, and we are not going to have parity in the picks because Dhokla is going to be grabbing Rumble for himself. Can work well, obviously, with some of the CC that's already being provided by the bot lane, but you are looking probably for, you know, a frontliner. Champions like Xin Zhao that are already banned out are pretty high prio. You're thinking also about things like Jarvan, like Wukong, like Vi, that are going to be able to get in there and benefit from the Seraphine Encore.
And I'm glad that you listed 3 separate champions, because when you pick this in the place that they picked it in the first game of Fearless, there's just so much available. It's not like even if they spend both of their bans, like getting rid of some of those aggressive AD divers, it's not like you're getting rid of all of them. You literally do not have enough choices to be able to remove everything from the pool. So Ornn is going to be the ban from LYON. That is one of those champions that gets drafted into Rumble, not as a, I'm going to counter you, but just as, I'll survive just fine. I'll get Kaenic Rookern. I'll be more useful in team fights with the Ornn
and then I'll scale.
And then it will not matter. But over on the other side, Shopify is going to go ahead and target that jungle pool. They'll get rid of the Jarvan, remove the hot pot combo with the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I was thinking might have gotten banned out would have been actually the Galio, because you can obviously Galio ult in on the Pantheon's head if they go in. But Ornn and Bessa, 2 champions that do combo really, really well with the Pantheon. Obviously, you can have the public execution as a follow-up from Pantheon stun. Ornn is going to give Shopify primary engage, which right now they're lacking, and that I think is why they targeted that as a ban instead of things like the Galio or the Sion, which are other tank options that people do sometimes go to. And it is just going to be the Jarvan and the Skarner ban. So you're thinking about Vi, you're thinking about Wukong, you're thinking about champions along those lines, and I think Inspired's going to probably pick something out of those couple.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the Wukong. Again, the fact that they're targeting Jarvan and Skarner specifically, which is not a common ban, shows that they're looking at the AoE combos that work in unison with the Rumble ulti. Wukong is another one of those. I feel like he's just kind of the obvious answer here to what they're banning away, like what you want to do, and that's what they'll lock for Inspired.
And it's also one of the champions that I always really kind of associate with Inspired, and it just feels like it fits the bill. You know, I hadn't actually checked the stats before I said that, but I just looked, and out of his top played champions, it is the highest win rate out of his, you know, top 15 or something, almost a 77% win rate.
76.9, but I'm going to call it 77.
Yeah, which actually does not surprise me at all. Wukong is a champion that benefits a lot from gold, spikes hard at 6, you know, can scale incredibly well, and is a super powerful team fighter that can both initiate and have individual outplays with the clone, dodging CC, and I feel like that is all what Inspired wants to do. He wants to keep his economy high, he wants to be able to team fight incredibly well, and he wants to be able to make individual outplays, so I feel like this fits the bill incredibly well. Sion is one of those answers that I had mentioned for the Rumble, but is worse as a primary engage tool. You are lacking a little bit as far as that goes, but a lot of ability to play towards side lanes with the Ryze, with the Pantheon, with a pretty powerful 2v2 on bot side. I do like the go buttons more for LYON with Ashe Arrow, with the Wukong engage. I think that is pretty powerful. Obviously, Azir can find angles as well. So I'm kind of slightly favoring what LYON has, but Shopify can play really strong early game with what they have drafted. They can play heavily through lanes if they get out to a good start, play through those side lanes with the Ryze. So I feel like both teams are set up quite well.
And one thing that I always look at when you've got Seraphine in a composition is you need to have one or two bruisers or tanks on the front line because you can always shoot the encore through them and get the extra range. You can get the extra efficacy off of that. And I think that specifically for LYON, I also really like this because we know how much of a shot caller Inspired is. We know how much he wants to orchestrate exactly how the team is moving, how they're engaging, how they're behaving. And so him being able to say, okay, Isles, as soon as you see me go in, shoot encore through me. And you can also shoot it through his clone. So I think that there's a lot of potential here for the Wombo combo with the Seraphine and the Wukong to be truly devastating. So that lack of engage from Shopify, I feel like the pressure is on them. You're saying that they have strong side lanes, and I agree. But again, this is a team that I feel like almost all of us, if not all of us, had power ranked bottom 3 at the start of the split. They're a team that was eliminated first back in split number 1. They have a lot to prove. And generally, when you're one of those teams that's ranked lower, the side lanes are more difficult to play. So the pressure's on.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true, right? It is a more difficult composition to play. It's not as though they have no engage, but flash stun from Pantheon, the Sion ulting straight in, flash root from Zinie. They're not the kind of engages that you really want to be reliant on, right? They're like, it's more of like, oh, I caught you out in a 1v1 rather than like, this is how I start the 5v5, right?
You can do it. It's just not.
It doesn't usually work.
Yeah, it's
in a 5v5.
It almost always depends on a summoner spell too, right? Like, that makes it a little bit rough. So, all right, we're into game number 1 now. We've got both of our junglers starting on their respective chicken camps. And again, a lot of my attention is just going to be on this bottom lane, this Ashe Seraphine. It's been such a terror. It's so powerful in the bottom lane. And you talked about in draft, the responsibility of Corki and Nami is to take short, punchy trades that doesn't allow Ashe and Seraphine to utilize their extended power effectively.
Exactly. It's all about that. And then using the Nami W, try to get multiple bounces, heal back up. You want to take these trades consistently so you're getting the most out of your sustain. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about Contractz, though. Week 1 versus Dignitas, he went deathless. He played incredible against them. And week 2 against TL, in that second game, his Poppy was insane. I feel like he has been a really impressive carry for Shopify, and when he is on point, man,
I love this graphic.
He can carry the team. Contractz at his best is one of the very best junglers in NA ever. Like, this guy's high roll, it is crazy. So have to watch out for him. Here he is.
Yeah, he's arrived into the bottom lane as Berserker and Isles try to get away. Isles is your target immediately. Contractz lays down a little bit of damage, but honestly, LYON's bottom lane gets away. It does cost both summoner spells from Isles, but he lives.
He lives, and they are going to be pretty happy to get out of there. But that being said, this was 3 camps straight bot, and there's no cross or anything happening right now from Inspired. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit up-tempo, but Contractz is going to go back to base. He's going to have that longsword. He's going to go out and continue clearing those camps. And this is what you want to do. I talked about it in draft. When you are going to allow your opponents to have Seraphine Ashe, you need to gank them. Like, that is how you put the pressure on. They have no dashes. They're very vulnerable to getting attacked. The disengage is not the greatest pre-6, and so he is able to get down there and trade, his flash for those couple summoners from Isles. So now Isles and Berserker are going to have to play a lot more carefully, and we'll see if they can find something with that.
And the big thing that I'm going to be looking for then is, now that you know that Isles is vulnerable, on this champion that does not have any natural inbuilt mobility, once Contractz hits level 6, you're going to get 3 levels before Seraphine's flash comes back up. Maybe not her heal, but definitely her flash. So you should be able to make a visit back to that bottom lane with the Grand Starfall and find something.
And even Realm Warp could get involved, right? And then all of a sudden there's 4 members coming down, right?
Yeah.
Zinie could go down there, and you could really try to slam that home. So would love to see that. I fully agree. It's often with summoner spells, it's not about getting the summoner spell, it's about what you do with that missing summoner spell.
Right.
And
it's a down payment.
Exactly. Contractz is hanging around here. Inspired is there as well. And of course now Contractz is spotted, and he does not know that. His vision plant did not actually hit it, but look where Zinie is playing. He's playing towards that top side of the lane. So even though they did not see Inspired, they are going to be pretty aware of it. Excuse me, no, they did see him walking in on the Raptors. So both teams should be fully aware of where the enemy jungler is.
And whenever I see Azir into one of these immobile mid laners like Ryze, I'm always watching if the jungler will be able to force Ryze's flash before level 6, because that really sets up Azir to be able to make a big explosive move with a return gank as soon as he has his ultimate available. But right now, it looks like LYON are not going to be given the opportunity to make that play. Like you're talking about, Inspired was lurking around mid. He was trying to find something, but just couldn't get the angle that he needed. So that means that Zinie's going to stay safe down there. Checking back in on the bottom lane, Bvoy and Seos feeling pretty comfortable after Isles lost those summoner spells. It gives them just this extra confidence to play aggressively and push forward.
Yep. I'm a little bit surprised they still haven't based yet, though. You know, Berserker and Isles did base at that timing, so I think we're going to see them now go back to base, and we'll see how good of a buy they do get. Berserker is holding the wave for now, so going to be a little bit annoying. You know, eventually that will start to push back. The wave's going to stack, and since it's cannon wave, but Bvoy decides he doesn't actually want to lose any minions, so they do keep delaying that base, and it does mean that, yes, they are going to get pushed. Yes, they are creating this nice little CS advantage, but at the same time, the heal is almost back up, and you haven't even spent your gold to try to be able to put yourself in a position where you can maybe punish that missing summoner.
Well, he will force the wave into the turret, so no more freeze there for Berserker. You can see about a 200 gold lead for Bvoy as he does finally take the back. And like you said, I'm very curious what the purchase is going to look like. Does the fact that they stayed for that extra wave change what Bvoy is able to buy? He gets a tier, he gets a sheen, he gets a refillable. Honestly, pretty good purchase.
Yep, nice purchase for sure for Bvoy. A good even gold amount. Going to be pretty happy about that. But Berserker is going to be able to get the wave in as well and reset, so they're not going to be able to jail him or anything like that. And Contractz will spot Saint moving over towards the side. He's going to get eyes on Inspired as well, as both these junglers, not yet 6, but obviously Inspired wanting to try to fight for this, and Seos is here.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Saint. Goes for the shuffle, but he misses it as Zinie flashes away. Now Saint's going to be your target. Contractz jumps in. Low HP on the Azir, but Saint's still alive for now. Nice moves there from Zinie, using the summoner spells to avoid the initial engage from LYON's mid laner. But ultimately, both of them end up getting chunked low, but now multiple players from both sides are moving over. Inspired still only level 5, does hit level 6 now, taking out the Scuttle Crab. Flash over the wall there from Fudge, getting himself out of danger. Zinie still looking for Saint here. Saint manages to get himself away with the Shifting Sands. Does not want to get caught in the Rune Prison.
I'm pretty surprised Fudge even bothered to roam down at that point. It just felt like the Scuttle was already lost. Fudge stayed top and actually pushed in the wave, which is totally a fine decision to make. Dhokla had moved first, but then on the other side, your team has already kind of lost the fight, right? So him walking in on the top side, trying to actually harass Inspired does cost him his flash. We'll see if that ends up being relevant here later on. But it is just that slight advantage for Inspired. You know, Contractz did spend his time getting that early gank. It did not end up resulting in anything, and now the flash and heal are both back up for Isles. So no punish really on either side.
Yeah.
And it is just kind of this slight advantage for Bvoy and Seos that Contractz was able to earn, which I would say totally worth at the end of the day.
Okay, Seos and Bvoy stepping up, getting a lot of burst on a Berserker there who barely stays alive, levels up for a little bit of extra healing, but now there's your Grand Starfall. Contractz coming in, tries to flash follow, goes after Berserker, finds the kill. Now Inspired about to die. Seos gonna grab that one. It's a 2-0 for Shopify Rebellion. Even though the flash came back up on Isles, that don't matter. He's not the target. Inspired and Berserker both fall.
Really nicely done there, and it was honestly the bubble from Seos that set up so much of this, because that made it point and click for the Frost Bomb, for the big one that was locked and loaded there from Bvoy, and he just chunked out Berserker so fast and got him incredibly low. And then Zinie was on the roam. Contractz is coming in with the Grand Starfall. That is that overload play that we had been talking about. And again, it's all set up by this bubble. The bubble tags here, and then that means everything is going to hit. Berserker gets smoked. In comes the Grand Starfall. Zinie is there, so even though it's Inspired is around, it does not matter at all. They just turn on Inspired, and Zinie and Bvoy unload onto the LYON jungler. He gets rocked, and it's that 2 for 0 on the bot side.
Good. Play base now.
Yep, play base now, reset, everybody's good to go. And I want to go back to what you were talking about in the draft. Talking about Inspired on the Wukong. We mentioned he has a 77% win rate on this champion. You're talking about how he fits, or it fits his playstyle, because it spikes hard. It scales well with gold. It's something that as long as you control the tempo of the game, you can make so many outplays with. When you die on your first attempted play, that tempo is all out the window. This is really big for Shopify because Inspired was one of the deaths.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a big deal. You know, he is going to be set back a fair bit there. Thankfully, he did not waste his flash. You know, Inspired quickly recognized that it was a losing play, just, you know, holds on to the flash. Obviously, he did use the Cyclone, but that is going to be back up here pretty soon.
Right.
It is about that 1,000 gold lead for Shopify. And I got to say, Fudge is doing really well on that top side.
Okay, bottom side though, Berserker again going to be in some trouble. Bvoy and Seos are running the show, 2v2. That's another one in their pocket.
Now that is a punish on the missing summoner there. Seos just flashing in, had the tidal wave, has the bubble. If you get tagged by that tidal wave, you are going to get bubbled, and then again, there's no way for Isles to peel for him. Isles is not 6 yet, so they just punish Berserker here so heavily with the experience advantage that Seos had, and with the knowledge that there are missing summoners there. That is a great play from Bvoy and Seos.
Bvoy and Seos stepping up where they need to. It's 90-69 in terms of farm. Berserker and Isles are just being put in a spot where it's so difficult to play the game, and they're on the Ashe Seraphine. It's not like this is a duo where you're expected to lose early and scale up later. Like, this is a powerful 2v2. Now, LYON, they're going to start up the first Drake of the game here 10 minutes in. It's a pretty late first Drake, but they will secure it without any answer from Shopify.
Yeah, nicely done. They found the timing there to be able to just get that dragon uncontested. And yeah, this is a great job by Bvoy and Seos. Obviously, Ashe Seraphine, really strong duo, but it has been about the ganks there. Early gank from Contractz, you know, putting them on the back foot. Then Zinie and Contractz getting down there to get that kill on Berserker. Then Seos, with that advantage, is able to find the flash in, punish Berserker for his missing summoners. And this is exactly what you want to do if you're going to give up the Ashe Seraphine. And it's what you have to be worried about if you're going to draft Ashe Seraphine into a first pick Pantheon, because Pantheon is exceptional at punishing these kind of lanes, and now Berserker is trying to bait for Inspired, but not quite going to find the angle, and they're going to commit the TP as well.
Wow.
That really sucks. They thought that they had him.
That's rough, man.
Did Berserker not have his arrow when he walked up there?
Oh. He might not have, but now, immediately the Grand Starfall, the response is there. Contractz has already found the first kill, but Zinie dies immediately right after. It's a 1-for-1 here at the very start. Inspired tries to get away. Contractz on the hunt, grabs the double kill. Inspired is already down. Contractz continues chasing, but he will be shut down now by Saint. The Azir still fighting. Finds a triple kill. LYON's mid laner stepping up right when the team needs him most.
Yeah, that is not good there for Shopify, as everything kind of had been going their way, but Saint walks away with a triple kill. He's going to get a play off the back of that. He's going to be going home with so much gold.
Oh, but now Dhokla could be in a little bit of danger here. Fudge chasing after him, looking for the solo kill. Dhokla at 100 HP does have to flash away. Doesn't want Fudge being able to flash, get the auto attack into an instant Soul Furnace proc or something similar. Dhokla lives, but rough in the 1v1.
Yeah, Dhokla lives, but I mean, this lane is not going well for him. We haven't really been talking about top lane because it's not been where the action is, but he's not going first strike to actually just farm gold. He's playing Comet, you know, more for that individual 1v1.
Bullying,
and he's actually down on gold. They're pretty much dead even, but you know, he was briefly there, down a couple gold. And that means Fudge is doing really well in his job. So this is after the initial kind of like failed bait. The Ashe arrow does come out right onto Zinie as he arrives. They're able to get that kill onto Zinie. He just kind of realm warped in too far, to be honest, and Zinie gave up his life so quickly. Bvoy is being bought a lot of time here to get damage down, and it's a great bubble over onto Saint, but Saint just turns and takes the fight. Bvoy is pushed back. The triple is secured there for Saint. And watching that replay, a lot of it is really off of that realm warp.
Inspired's happy about it.
Yeah. Zinie's going to want the realm warp back. Let's just say that. I mean, he just went right into the middle of the team, and Berserker had that Ashe arrow immediately onto him, into the Cyclone. They burst down Zinie before he basically did anything, and Saint went back to base with 1,500 gold off of that. So that is pretty much his whole advantage.
I mean, it's one of the foundational building experiences of playing League of Legends. It's just saying, man, why did I click that? Right? And that's kind of where you're at if you're Zinie with that Realm Warp. So we'll see how well Shopify can play from here. But the lead that they had has almost entirely evaporated. They're up a couple hundred gold. But the biggest thing is the 1.7K individual lead for Saint and the just about 1,000 individual lead for Bvoy. So these are the two I'm going to be keeping my eye on the most in the upcoming fights.
Absolutely have to be eyes on those two carries. I think you're pretty sad if you're Bvoy that you got none of the kills, though, just the 4 assists.
Yeah, but now Shopify looking to make another play here. Inspired's going to be their target, trying to defensively Cyclone. Encore flies through, and Saint's already on a rampage. Seos is down, but so is Inspired. However, Bvoy falling means another double kill for Saint. The Azir is such a terror, but immediately Contractz and Fudge are ready to answer. Berserker and Saint both fall. What starts out as a 2-for-1 for LYON immediately gets suplexed, and Shopify come out +1.
And Berserker kind of realized, you know what, I'm useless this game. I'm going to die for my Azir. But unfortunately, the Sion ult hit the Azir anyway. It seemed like the detonation still did connect over. Saint spends his flash. Berserker holds onto his summoners, but does just walk into that Sion and ends up going down. And now Zinie looking to get behind Dhokla.
Yeah, I mean, he does cut him off, but now Dhokla's looking to just take the long way around. Unfortunately for him, it's more than just Zinie. With Contractz and Seos both hanging around and Dhokla only at about 300 HP, there's not really any way out, so Contractz can pick that one up. Killing spree, level 10, easy peasy, nothing to it.
Yep, nicely done there by Shopify. They just corralled Dhokla, who had overstayed on that top side. He wanted to try to get paid because they made this play on bot side, but it's actually so frustrating sometimes as a teammate when it's like, all right, Fudge TP'd down, made a good play, and then you look at what is my top laner doing on the top side? Well, he's farming plates and overstays and just dies. So he didn't even get anything from it, you know? So it's a bit painful there, I think, for Dhokla to be dying in this spot. But we can see this one more time. They obviously knew that Inspired was around, and Zinie's just waiting on this Vision Ward, gets the Rune Prison into the stun. They get so much early damage down on the Inspired that the fight is heavily losing right from the rip. Even with a great Encore, and Saint putting so much damage out onto Bvoy, they're able to knock him down, but Zinie is still full health, and this is where I'm talking about. He walks back into it. Berserker trying to block, but we got to go back to live, potentially have a fight there. But yeah, Berserker walked back into it, try to block for Saint. The damage ended up hitting Saint regardless, and they both end up going down.
It's a messy one. It's a little bit scrappy here in the early game. We're 16 minutes in. We got 14 kills, almost 1 per minute. So that's the kind of League of Legends I like to see, right? Lots of team fights, lots of scraps. Unfortunately now for us, though, we don't really have anything to fight over for the next 4 minutes or so. There's your MasterCard Power Spike with a Hollowed Radiance completed for Fudge on the Sion. So just going to make life that much more obnoxious for Dhokla to try to deal with. You already talked about the Comet. Right now, LYON is going to try to make the play onto Zinie here in the top side. Inspired's first Cyclone won't even hit the knockup, but the second one gets the job done, and immediately the crushing blow secures the kill.
Able to grab a nice kill there onto Zinie, and Saint is just getting so far ahead. Yeah, Bvoy still has a decent lead, but again, Bvoy did not get a single kill in any of those fights. He has only assists, and so Bvoy is not accelerated nearly the same way that Saint is. Saint has been picking up plates, has been getting every single kill, and now just got turret gold as well, and that was the first tower of the game. So Saint is 3K up now at this point, and he's going to be going for a quick second item with the Ryze. That's going to be done on base for sure, and he's going to be working in towards that third item, while Zinie is still very far away from his second.
The 3,000 lead is insane because the overall team gold is dead even. So the rest of Shopify in all of their different roles are 3,000 gold ahead. But Saint is so far ahead of Zinie that he offsets it. Now Contractz and Seos trying to make the play here, find a pick onto Inspired. They stun up the right Wukong. There's no clone left to try to save him. Contractz goes on a rampage, and honestly, Azael, this has not been Inspired's best look, not by a long shot.
No, he is getting caught out. And you also have to wonder, does Shopify Rebellion hate Bvoy? Because he now has 7 assists.
That's actually kind of crazy.
You didn't give a single one to your Corki.
Corki the money.
Corki is just a beggar on the side of the road.
Sir?
Please.
Spare a coin?
A single gold coin, Contractz, please.
Contractz is like, don't worry, bud. We got this. 7-1 on the... Contractz has more kills than LYON's team. Yeah. He's 7 kills on the Pantheon. So that means, because you talked about how last week his game number 2 on the Poppy was super impressive. He had such a good game, and they ultimately ended up losing. Now here in game number 1 against LYON, he is so far ahead. He has all the kills. The responsibility is now with him. You've got to convert that to a win, because otherwise it should have gone to the Sarah McLachlan somewhere out in the world. A Corki is crying, and for just $1 a day, you can help him. Fun, right? Like it should have gone to Bvoy if you don't carry this. So for Contractz, that's what I'm looking at now. You have the responsibility. You have the resources.
You are not allowed to int. Your family is depending on you.
Exactly. You are the breadwinner. Go win some bread.
He already won all the bread. Now he's got to do something with it.
Right. Now we've got... What do you do with bread after you win it?
Eat it.
Okay. Well, but I mean, technically, I guess he already ate the bread because he's taken all the kills.
Give it to the poor.
Okay.
He's got to give it to his poor teammates.
Yes. Give the bread to Corki.
Dispense the bread.
Okay. The bread dispenser. We'll see how well he can dispense.
And do not dispense it to the other team,
those
importantly.
Lows. Yes, yes. If you give the other team the bread, you're going to have a problem. Isles immediately chunked low, taken out before the fight even starts. Isles with a defensive cyclone here. Contractz is about to die at the very start. Crushing blow takes him out. Meanwhile, off on the left, Shopify trying to kill Dhokla, but they won't quite find the damage. Inspired falls to Zinie over the wall. Fudge barely staying alive. LYON trying to get something back, and Saint at least takes out Fudge there with the Emperor's Divide. Now Saint's got to try to get away from this one. Zinie still making a little bit of space for himself. Berserker, Dhokla, they want to try to collapse here. And Zinie realm warps away.
That was nicely timed. Kills the minions right as the realm warp does proc. And I have been watching Sion for a million years. It never ceases to amaze me how much damage the zombie does. It's in the middle of 3 people, he almost killed Berserker.
I honestly think Sion is not a balanced champion, bro.
I would agree with you.
He's the tankiest character in the game, and then you get to be a carry after you die.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Contractz finds a pretty nice angle here onto Isles, but the flashback from Isles lands the charm. And then, unfortunately, the loaves have been dispersed to the other team. He's given the bread to Inspired. Inspired gets the 700 gold shutdown. And again, the problem with this fight is, great, you did kill off Inspired. Great, you did kill off the Seraphine, but Saint is not being touched at all, right? And Saint is so fed that at this point, you gotta have eyes on him.
Nami no flash.
That was just like full lock back in. He's laughing, he's like, Nami no flash.
Yeah, that was the immediate just like whiplash of the mood right there, as now it's control over the bot side river for Shopify Rebellion.
Ooh.
LYON has claimed the first 2 Drakes. Bvoy hitting a nice little bit of chip damage there with the rocket, as LYON are still thinking about contesting this. It would be sole point if they could force Shopify back and make the play, but now Bvoy's going to get caught. Gets himself away with about half HP still left. Seo's trying to escape from Saint, who's chasing after that enemy support. The Cloud Drake is claimed by Contractz. LYON still fighting as a unit. Dhokla grabs the kill into Fudge. Bvoy still barely standing at about 100 HP. The volley flies out, but it won't find the damage here just yet. Saint over the wall with the damage onto Zinie. Zinie takes him out, though. LYON manages to pick up the extra kill there onto Bvoy. It's a 3-for-1 for LYON, but Shopify takes the Drake.
The encore and the beat drop from Isles went crazy in that fight. It was through so many members, gets them all charmed up, then lands the root on multiple members through them as well. And now LYON, they are heading their way over towards mid lane, up towards that Baron. Let's watch this one more time. Inspired goes in. It looks like Bvoy is caught. This equalizer basically puts Bvoy entirely out of the fight. Now eyes on Isles. Watch the angle that he finds here with the encore. It goes directly through Fudge, directly through all 4. And then, now watch the beat drop here. The E going through, he steps forward. And I guess we skipped forward, unfortunately, so we didn't actually get to see that. But he rooted then all those people immediately after it. So that was perfectly done, setting his team up for success. And unfortunately for Shopify, great start, but the mid game leaving a lot to be desired, and they now are in a really tough spot. The death cap's almost completed for Saint. I feel like this lead is more than gone. They are in a tough spot. I feel like we should still play
to get good sides push out, though, so we have like some sort of control.
Yeah, Shopify's got to get some sort of control because, like you're talking about, Isles really stepping up there in that team fight, and I feel like Isles has been really showing what he's made of a lot so far this year. This is a player who for a long time was on lower ranked teams. He's up against Seos, who is one of the most accomplished players of all time from the Brazilian region. And when you look at their accolades overall on your screen right now, 3 international appearances versus 2. You've got 4-time CBLOL champion for Seos, 2 times first team All-Pro, 2023 MVP. And Isles, yes, he's the champion of lock-in here in 2026. He's a 2 times champion back in the OPL. But for a long time, this guy was so much of a what-if player, right? Yeah. Because he was never on one of those big rosters. And now on LYON, where he's got people around him that can really facilitate his plays, being able to shine that much more, I feel like he's really burning bright.
I completely agree. I think he's actually having a really good split thus far. And these are the opportunities you have to make the most of because, like you said, he's been in NA for a long time and has been bottom teams for a long time. And so when you finally get your chance, you know, you're called up to a big team, a team that has a chance to actually win, you better perform because that is your opportunity to change the narrative about yourself and to, you know, get more opportunities on these top teams to get where he wants to go, to be able to win titles, to go international. That's where he has been trying to get to for all these years.
Yeah, so you could see the Nami wave fired up by Seos there in the mid lane. Doesn't result in a whole lot, so everybody's just kind of going to reset those positions for now. Mikhail's Crucible, also purchased here for Seos. Very, very important item. Does kind of alleviate the pressure of the Berserker arrow. As long as Seos is nearby, he can cleanse whoever that gets hit. Whoever that hits, excuse me. One thing I do want to check in on, though, remember that a little while ago we were talking about Contractz, how he needed to carry the game. He was 7-1 on the Pantheon. Now he's 7-3 on the Pantheon. He has not been able to snowball that lead further. Yeah. Yes, he has his Guardian Angel now, but I feel like the brakes have kind of just been hit here.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And we saw the comms check-in where Fudge is saying, hey, we need to keep playing through side lanes. And that, I think, is where the Pantheon can still really shine, right? Okay. And I feel like they are underplaying towards sides. They just kind of started grouping and team fighting, but you're just playing into this death ball comp that LYON has, which is so incredibly powerful. There's so much AoE CC, there's so much AoE damage that it's very, very difficult to just kind of walk straight into them and fight. So I would love to see them continue to push outside lanes, try to find picks. You know, as LYON moves between lanes, that's where the Grand Starfall can come in. That's where the Realm Warp can come in, and you can maybe catch someone off and get a pick. Because otherwise, yeah, that gold should have been probably on someone else. It's not like it's Contract's fault for taking every kill. We were mostly just joking about that, but the pressure is on him for sure. When you have 7 early kills on a Pantheon, you got to be the one that's taken over.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the enemy Azir has 6 kills.
Got a hat.
Playing death ball like you're talking about. I will take Hat, Nashor's, Ryze, Empowered Boots Azir over Pantheon.
Over Bread.
Any day of the week. Bread is not required. Azir might as well be immune to gluten or whatever it is.
Immune to gluten.
I don't know the actual right word, dude. Whatever. Azir doesn't care about gluten. He's gluten intolerant or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Realm Warp into the Baron pit, I would think. Shopify are going to just try to jerk this one down. But yeah, immediately, they already have the Scryer Trinket there from LYON, so they know this is going to happen. Fudge trying to keep everybody zoned away. Shopify has already backed off the objective. I like the attempt, but it's just immediately foiled.
Yeah, I mean, LYON was kind of right beside them when they Realm Warp. I feel like if LYON had been on Dragon and Shopify was, you know, already over in mid and then Realm Warp, maybe it's more likely to work, but LYON was just way too close. They did get the Ashe arrow out at the very least, though, and we'll see if they can find an angle to engage, because Inspired's pretty split from Saint.
Yeah, Saint gets away for now, still trapped in the Ruined Prison, but he does have Isles right next to him. So the Azir kept alive. Zinie wants to ghost, chase after these guys a little bit, but he won't get a whole lot of value out of it here just yet. Fudge continuing to frontline for Shopify. Contractz off on the side, looking for his opportunity to use the Grand Starfall. Remember, it's 2-1 in the Drakes, favoring LYON. If they can get this one, it's going to guarantee them soul point. As they've aggroed the Dragon, DPS is very slow, though. Dhokla hanging off on the side. Contractz still looking for that ultimate entrance. Shopify now have the Dragon aggro themselves. Everybody is so cautious on this one. Over the wall, goes Inspired here with a blast cone, but Contractz is ready to try to focus him down. Inspired staying alive for now. Contractz has to flash back away. Inspired still waiting and looking. Gets back over the wall here with his own flash. Zinie's going to be targeted by Dhokla. The arrow flies out. It forces the stasis. Zinie's still alive for now, but immediately LYON is ready to try to collapse. But Zinie goes on a killing spree. Inspired is already down. Now Isle's going to be your next target. Fudge and Contractz putting in the work. mark. Contractz takes the kill. Saint zoning Seos away. Zinie is the only one dead here on the Shopify Rebellion side. Saint still looking for something, but there's nothing to find. Shopify have total control over the Drake pit, and they will secure that Cloud Drake for themselves. Saint is still hanging around. Contractz gets flipped back, but Saint will not find a kill. He gets the Guardian Angel at least. Fudge now getting torn apart by the focus fire from Berserker. Contractz ultimately dies, and Shopify lose 2 more on the back end of the fight. What a mess!
They get the dragon, but look at the death timers. You're going to have both the Seraphine as well as the Wukong back up. You can take the mid-tier 1, and then you can even potentially go to Baron with 30 seconds still on to Pantheon and the Sion. And I think that's going to be the call because there's no Grand Starfall. There's no Sion Ultimate either. So I don't even know if they can get there fast enough.
Yeah, that felt just really wacky, man.
It was a weird fight. I mean, there were skirmishes on all sides, a lot of things going on in that fight. It felt like it just broke down into 1v1 here, a 2v2 there, a 3v3 here, you know, all these different skirmishes. But at the end of the day, Shopify lose out big time. Yeah, they get the dragon, but LYON get the Baron and a lot of these kills here. And we have to watch it one more time. You know, Contractz decides to go in pretty early here onto Inspired as he catches him trying to move over towards that dragon. Zinie was fighting Dhokla on the other side. Inspired gets low, but Contractz doesn't have the rest of his team with him, so he has to immediately flash back out. And now this is where it kind of gets wacky because Berserker and Saint are zoning back Bvoy. Zinie then is in this 1v2. Him killing off Inspired was actually really, really big, but look at Fudge. Bvoy is not hitting at all. Saint just walks past Fudge. And meanwhile, the front line here from Shopify are kind of just getting pelted while Saint is in the back line just being so chaotic here. And I love how confident Saint played. Watch the buffer on this Emperor's Divide right on the stun there from Contractz, then shifts out as the bubble lands. Dhokla comes back from base with the teleport. Berserker's still full health, and now they can just charge on in, and that is just great utilization of the health bar that Saint had, right? He knew he could actually play in that position. Even if he dies, you're still going to win the fight and probably get the Baron, and look at the damage he got done.
Yeah, initially, I was a little bit worried. I was like, Saint, why are we hanging around here, brother? The fight feels like it's already lost, but there's a reason he's playing, and I'm talking about it, because he has so much of an understanding of what his champion does, what his limits are, and he made that into an absolutely phenomenal swing for LYON. We're now 3,500 gold ahead, but now Contractz makes his entry into the fight, going after Isles, but that doesn't matter. Isles survives, Contractz already down, Bvoy dies next. Fudge is on the flank, but who cares? The Sion to the back line doesn't matter when you've already lost your jungler and your AD carry. I think this is just the end of the game.
It looks like it is the end of the game. It's 5 members here from LYON with the Baron buff in the base. No shot for Shopify.
Yeah, Shopify Rebellion, they tried to make their move, and that move did not work. LYON, they struggled in the early game, but they pulled it back. Contractz' early kills in the Pantheon, again, will not translate into a win. Saints Azir, the hero of the day, here in game number 1, 18-15. It was a bloody battle, but LYON take the first game.
Nicely done there by LYON. Huge game from Saint. And I feel like Shopify is going to want that fight on the bot side river back so badly.
Oh, yeah.